You know, right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in entertainment, sports media, entrepreneurship, and a whole lot more, as evidenced by this episode and our guests here today. Joe, today we're going to be exploring one of the most powerful and misunderstood areas of personal growth and how we actually heal deep, unresolved pain and trauma. And this episode will likely blend science-backed therapy along with ancient wisdom and energetic practices.
As you know, I am the meditative spiritual one between the two of us. So, any type of methods that I think can improve our well being, especially in the case of both men and women, is certainly welcomed. Our guests today, together, collectively holistic, integrative trauma healing. They are very accomplished, respectively, in their own areas. And again, this is something that deviates a little bit from most of the guests that we've had on the show before, but we're very, very excited to have them on. We welcome first psychotherapist and hypnotherapist Maria Micha, and we also welcome somatic energy healer Shannon Grace. We'll start with you, Maria. Like I said, I hope I got your name right. How
You
are you?
did.
How are you doing today? And then we'll move on to Shannon.
I'm doing very well, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
What about you, Shannon?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you guys. You have a really good energy so far. It's like building my energy, and I feel like it's going to be fun and informative, spiritual, and we're going to teach people. So it's very aligned in what I do. So thank you for having me.
So you both have a lot going on professionally, I'm sure personally, and you're living out in California. So I'm curious, what's the first app you check on your phone every day? We'll start with you, Shannon.
Ah, so I have been taking at least 15 to 20 minutes and not being on my phone. I do check to see the time when I get up, but other than that, I put it down. I make my matcha or my coffee and I sit and think about my dreams and what I'm working on because my dreams tell me a lot about subconsciously what's going on. Okay, and then I'll pick up my phone. Let's see, the first app would be Chat GPT to analyze my dreams.
Oh, I like that answer.
Interesting.
Joe, you got to start tracking your dreams, I think, because you have
Oh,
some
they're
Well,
wild ones.
fascinating.
not to leave
You need,
Maria behind here, Shannon, do you have a dream journal at home?
I do. I do.
Because I tell Nick, this has come up here and there. Uh, the old form of pen to paper it's a form of almost like magic, and it's
Yes.
something that is going away because we have the screens and all that. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important to document what you do, especially the first thing in the morning. Maria, what about you?
Yes.
Well, it's very similar. I wake up and I give myself 10, 15 minutes to just lie in my bed, come back to my body, come back to my spirit. And these are the times that we're going from delta brain waves, which is deep sleep and restoration, it's where we repair, to theta brain waves, which is where we can meditate so deeply and connect with the spiritual world. So I'm definitely making very good use of the theta brain waves that my brain is luxuriating in. And I do remember my dreams. I also have a dream journal. And as a psychotherapist, I know how to analyze them very well. So I will take notes, but I will also connect with me and the day I want to have. So I'm envisioning the day I want to have. And not just the facts. I will speak to you, or then I will talk with one of my clients. I am connecting with the feelings I want to have, and then the feelings I want to have once I accomplish what I want during my day. And what I want to accomplish is rarely tasks. I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel engaged. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel inspired. And after that, I start my day, but I usually start with music that will give me energy because in the morning some of us have lower energy. So invigorating music will pump up my energy and I'm ready for my day.
So, Joe, I never asked you though. What's your morning routine? Because I'm thinking you're going to be along the same path as Shannon and Maria, but usually try to wake up in the afternoon. So, talk to us about your day.
Well, if I have to be at a certain place, let's say for work, I don't really kind of do what they do. But usually, if I wake up, my body will naturally wake me up here, like East Coast time, like between 8 and 9. So I'll usually take about 20 minutes or so just to kind of, again, the first thing that you have to do when you wake up, you can't really immediately get up because, again, your body from the sleep state that was in is not entirely collaborated yet. So I definitely agree with them on that point, and we're off to a great start here. So,
No, my body must be really messed up then, Joe, because I wake up, jump out of bed to my young child crying, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, every morning. So can't be good for my health right now, I'm guessing. What do we
You have
think,
no
Shannon and
choice
Maria?
though,
Yeah.
Nicholas, because I have my kids are older now, but when they're young, you have no choice. You're at their mercy. So just
Sure.
find times during the day that you can at least get a couple minutes and take some breaths and like clear your mind. But for you, you're kind of in the middle of it, so don't beat yourself up.
All right. Makes me good. Happy to hear that. That I'm,
Yeah.
I would
I,
suggest that you connect with the intention, the feeling. You love your child, so you are going there to offer support, to comfort them, especially if they're crying. And if you connect with love, that opens up your heart and it does set the tone for the rest of the day.
all right. Like that.
I love that. Like I said, we're off to a good start over here. Let's talk about your backgrounds, the both of you, your areas of expertise. Ultimately, what did you two want to do when you were younger? Is this ultimately the career path that you two always wanted to take? And if anybody who is listening and watching this wants to break into a field like this, there are now multiple avenues, especially with social media, that has changed the game through the years. But in terms of your backgrounds, areas of expertise, and why you decided to pursue this field, let's start with you, Maria.
I was very fortunate. So at the age of 9, I knew I wanted to become a psychotherapist. And this is because, well, I grew up in Athens, Greece until I was 18, and then I went to London to study my first round of studies. But in Greece, it's such a religious country, so we're having religious studies every day. And one of my religious teachers was obsessed with devils. So she was giving us horrible stories with devils. So I started being scared of the dark. And then my mother took me to a therapist, and within 3 sessions, I had no fear of the dark. So that's what I want to do. But no one would believe me. They would say, that's now. Next year is going to be something else. But that stayed with me. And I have to say that I have always been listening to this voice in me that everyone else was doubting. I grew up in a very cerebral, educated environment. My father is an engineer. If I cannot see it, if I cannot prove it, it does not make sense to me. But I never lost sight of this voice and has always been guiding me to go to become a therapist. I knew also at a very young age that I wanted to go to the UK and study. And then I knew I wanted to go to Singapore. I lived there for 13 years. And then I knew that I wanted to come to the US. And I made everything happen. And when you're connected with your soul's purpose, then life really removes the obstacles that need to be removed. So I have been very fortunate that way. I've loved since I was young psychology, and I still do.
Shannon?
so now I see why you had me and Maria on because I'm like on the opposite side, complete opposite. I didn't know, like, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I grew up in
Oh.
SoCal. Yeah, and I loved the ocean and the creatures, but then once I saw Jaws, I was like, I'm never getting in the ocean ever again. I'm terrified of shark. Like I still won't get in, and it really affected me. And then throughout life, I moved around a lot. I didn't really have roots or I was grounded, and so I was a very introverted, shy child, and grew up in a trauma filled home by both parents. So I never felt safe at home or safe in my body. So floating around throughout life, totally disconnected from my body. I found survival mechanisms, and you don't realize you're in this adaptation pattern in your body and dorsal vagal shutdown and stuff like that until you really tap into your body later. And that's what I learned with somatic energy healing. But I actually wanted to become a chef because it's creative. It's to be a chef, it's art. To
Yeah.
bake is
Yeah, absolutely.
science. And I loved both. Yeah. So you can be creative in the kitchen, but then I could also hide in the kitchen. So I can, be the chef in the back and make all the delicious food and everybody's like, oh, yum. But then I can like hide. And so I hid my entire life And that's where he felt safe. Now, throughout all this healing journey on my own healing for my own self, I was like, wow, I need to become a healer because of the stuff that I went through. Now I have the tools to help others. And then corporate, I tried that, and it just my soul felt like it was being sucked out of my body. So it was a lot of trial and error, trial and error to get me to the point I am now. So even if your listeners are like, I'm still not sure what I want to do, and you're trying to find something that is your purpose, like Maria, some people are born with that purpose. Other people, it takes a long time to find it, and both sides are beautiful. So yeah, it took me a while, but now I know where I'm supposed to be at.
So, Joe, the lesson here is it's not too late for you
No,
to
it's
go
never
on
too late.
your spiritual healing
It's
journey.
No,
never
it's
too
never too late. Again, it's all about being aligned, and the timelines of everybody are incredibly different, as evidenced by these two and the guests that we've had on through the years. For some people, they're called to be where they are a little bit earlier. For others, they have to take the scenic route, usually what I say. Maria, we'll go back to you for a second. Talk a little bit about your anagenesis method.
So this is a method that I have devised, and it's comprised of clinical mental health counseling, hypnotherapy, but also shamanic practices and other intuitive wisdom rituals. Very recently, well, it's not so recent anymore, 2019, I became a shamanic practitioner and I studied it. I went to school for 2 years. And I'm doing this because the psychology, the definition of psychology, is the study of the brain, the mind, the spirit, and the soul. But because we cannot quantify the spirit and the soul, psychotherapists have not done any research on that. Now it is becoming more prominent. So when I studied psychotherapy and the way it is even practiced nowadays, it only addresses half of human experience, the brain and the mind. I felt whilst I was working with my clients that there was something missing. It was very difficult to access the subconscious mind. So I did hypnotherapy. That helped a lot. People could go back to being 5, where the trauma was, or 15. They could talk to their higher selves. They could understand what they truly wanted to do, was usually is not what they're actually doing. But then I also started realizing that as I was talking with my clients, I could see things that they had never told me, and they started telling me. I don't know how you know that. It is very true, but I've never told you. And that led me to some research and becoming a shamanic practitioner. As a result, the Anagenesis healing method comprises everything, and I use different modalities depending on what my client wants. I do use psychotherapy, which mainly accesses your cerebral mind, what we're using now to talk and be with each other, but it also accesses your intuitive mind and your spiritual mind and your subconscious mind. I find it's a very holistic approach to pull out what is needed at any given moment.
Very nice. And Shannon, for you, what would you say when you are partaking in Reiki is typically the most blocked part of a person?
Gosh. So Reiki is one of the modalities I do, and I would say heart chakra. Heart chakra would be probably the most blocked for people, which is understandable. It's our biggest chakra and energy field, and they can, the Heart Math Institute, they can study how powerful the heart is, and a lot of times we're living in our mind and not in our heart because we've been hurt over and over. And usually it's like it starts so young within our parents. It's something they said or something they did or a teacher, and then just slowly throughout life we put these shields on our heart. So I would say heart, and that's the most blocked. And even with somatic energy healing, when it's hands-on, when I palpate the body, I palpate your subsystems, meaning your spine, your muscles, your tendons. I do neural checks, and it tells me what's going on in your body. When there's a lot of tension in the vertebrae, in the upper and mid thoracic, that's heart chakra. And so I was like, oh, so many people when I palpate, I was like, it's like rigid there. And
Yeah,
so
so
it's just
you could feel it just when you're
literally feel it. Yeah, it's tension holding in that part of your body. So I would say heart. So when I do Reiki, I will clean out. It's a shamanic practice. It's called backwashing the chakras. So you will backspin all of them. And then I can see in my mind's eye, like the clogginess. It can either be like kind of a gray fluff, or it could be as murky as like gray water that's stagnant and it's heavy, and I'll scoop and fling and scoop and fling,
Um,
and then bring in the light of the central sun and then get it going clockwise again. And it just like cleans it out and puts in fresh healing energy. And it's just like they can finally take a breath and be like, oh, that old stagnant energy is gone and fresh comes in, and then new ideas can come in and new epiphanies, and like you just feel lighter and you sleep better. So yeah, I would say heart.
Now, for the both of you, when you're coaching clients, I think there's an element here of you have to be a gifted communicator, you have to be in tune, but there's also what works for one person in particular is not going to work for another person because everybody has entirely different stories. So, Maria, we'll start with you. When you're coaching clients to move on and rebuild, when you're doing the foundational work right at the very beginning to kind of build that trust, what are you looking for specific and how do you do that?
I don't lead them, I let them talk to me, and I usually start with psychotherapy. People feel a lot more comfortable when there is an evidence-based science behind it. So I start with that, and then we build our relationship. But I think that when someone wants to heal, and if you as a practitioner don't give them the wrong messages or contradictory messages, or sometimes practitioners are anxious, so they jump from one thing to the next and the client is confused and they don't know what to pay attention to, the rapport builds by itself. I feel that most people feel very safe with me, and the people who don't, they don't feel safe with anyone and anything. So that becomes the beginning of our therapeutic journey. As we move forward, then I will suggest hypnotherapy and I will suggest some shamanic practices. The people who come and say, I just want hypnotherapy, I don't want to do that because it is one modality. It will not address all of the human experience. But when you bring everything together seamlessly, don't imagine I'm saying, okay, now we're doing psychotherapy, and now we're doing hypnotherapy, and now we're doing shamanic practices. It blends. It's just a journey that comes naturally up and just people follow. To be trusted is one thing, to be trustworthy, but for the other person to trust is very, very important. And trust really is the ability to feel safe in the unknown. People have to have this ability, and when we don't trust, then our lives are very difficult and we're leaving the best part of human experience on the table. We are not adventurous, we're not going to try something new, we're not going to expand our horizons, and we know that we age very fast if we don't try new things and if we don't challenge our brain to new experiences.
I love that line. Trust and trustworthiness are two entirely different things. I think a lot of people don't necessarily grasp that. Shannon, to you, how do you build that rapport with your clients and ultimately strengthen the dynamic between you and whoever you decide to serve?
Right. It's a great question. And so me as a practitioner, I know I have to work on myself. And it's 80% working on your own stuff and 20% technique. And that's what John Emerald teaches in the somatic energy healing, that I've worked with him and he's taught me. So working on my own energy field, making sure I don't bring anything to the session. I leave my stuff at home and then come as a container to hold, because our fields are going to be enmeshed. And so I have to not bring my agenda or this is what they need. No, it's just going to be open and I'm going to have a safe container. So I start with myself. I do energy, I run my Taurus, I do energy clearing, leave my stuff behind so I can just be a safe container for the client. And then second, just talking to them. So with somatic energy healing, there's adaptation patterns. And so I'll give an example. It's there's a pattern that you repress your emotions, and it's called AP5. And so, okay, when your limbic brain recognizes emotions, and you need to, it's tone, vibration, and movement. And so, in order for an emotion to be released somatically out of your body that you've been harboring for probably a long time, your limbic brain needs to make that connection for release by tone, vibration, movement, meaning. So, like, you take a breath and you're like, oh, and you let it a sigh and you move your body. That's your brain going, oh, that's an emotion. So people who are in like chronic AP5, they disassociate from their emotions. They have a hard time like even making a sound, speaking up, like they repress everything. And so I just give them permission, like, hey, on the table, if something comes up within your body and you feel like you need to move or like make a sound, it's celebrated here and you have full permission. And so it might be like a little a little sigh, but they're wanting to roar. And so just creating that safe space for somebody and then talking to them where they're at and not trying to, like Maria said, lead. It's just like where they're at right now is perfect. And so I'm going to meet you where you're at right now, even though I know you have it within you. Even I know like you can go from A to B if you just do that. If they're not ready, they're not ready. And it's perfect the way it is. So you meet them where they're at and then work with that.
How would you approach, because this happens to a lot of people who go through some trauma or grief, but when somebody's central nervous system just shuts down, they're paralyzed, they can't move, there's no
Yeah.
motivation, they can't speak, they're just they're physically there, but mentally they're just not even, they can't do anything. They're just, I
Yeah.
can't. So we'll start with Shannon on that one.
Yeah, and that was me. And I had no idea I was in that state because it's functional freeze. You still get stuff done and you still go through the motions, but your body is literally in freeze. And you can do simple things like the butterfly method. And so you just put your hands like this and it opens up the left and right side of the brain. And you do this for like a couple minutes, and that tells your nervous system that you're safe. Or you can do box breathing. You breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and then breathe out for 8. The longer you breathe out, you wouldn't be able to do that if you're being chased by a tiger, right? So the longer you breathe out, it's telling your brain, your nervous system that you're safe. So you can do little tools like that throughout the day because I've had to. I have this from experience, but I have the tools now. If your nervous system has been wired to not be safe your entire life, you have to teach it
Hmm.
every day, telling it it's safe, and even saying I'm safe in my body, nothing's going to hurt me, and then doing these nervous system techniques. And then also I ground outside. It's so important for me to go out in nature every day and go walk within the trees. There's science behind like the trees giving off photophytols, or I forget the name, but it's immunity boosting. Like I'm even getting chills just talking about it. And like Marie and I live in SoCal, so you can go to the ocean and do it. Whatever resonates, you can just walk on the street and just touch a tree. I know it sounds so hippie, but it's actually science proving that it helps you. So grounding, telling yourself you're safe, and doing the little things throughout the day, even if it's just like 2 minutes doing the butterfly hug. Um, Without safety within your body can literally not do anything else. You can't think of any new ideas. You're just always in survival, and it's always going to be there unless you tell your body you're safe and let it know it's safe. And then you can open up to other parts of your life.
Maria, we see you nodding your head in agreement on a lot of that.
I would start with some breath work so that they reconnect with life. And I would ask them as they take a deep breath in to feel that oxygen that is life is going through their body and to feel that breath in their body. We breathe and we're not aware of what it's doing in our body, but when you take an intentional breath in, you can feel the air going through you. And then I might ask them to shoot the air in their brain because that's where the pineal gland is, and that's the naturally occurring benzos in our pineal gland. So if you manage to actually vibrate your pineal gland, you feel this immense sense of calmness. I'm also very big on self-hug, so I ask people to self-hug and start, yes, tapping here because this is regulating and activating your vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve starts from here, it comes all the way in the front, and it covers our intestinals and our stomach. And this is our second brain. And a lot of research say actually it's our first brain. We often feel danger there 2 weeks before we experience the danger mentally and cerebrally. And another medium that I love is art therapy. I'm also in art therapy, so I will give them crayons and I would give them a block of drawing paper, and I will ask them to draw whatever it is that they're experiencing. And as they're drawing, all their fears and all their trauma is coming up, but now it's on paper, so it has come out of their psyche, out of their body on paper, and then we can have an amazing conversation as I'm interpreting and analyzing what they have created.
Very nice answer. This is kind of a loaded question, so I feel like it's going to be difficult to answer, but we're going to try to see if we could do it anyway. How does the mind, the rest of the body energy, and the soul, because that's very, very important here, because all three work in conjunction with each other. So how do all three of those points intersect? And again, it's kind of a loaded question, so maybe like a real world example would be a good way to describe this, whether you're out and about running errands, whether you are out in nature, whether either of you are with family or friends in particular. So we'll start with you this time, Maria.
So how does the soul, the mind, and the
And the
body?
body, yeah, the
Okay.
mind energy, the body energy, and the soul itself. How does it all intersect?
It is all connected all the time. And that's what we don't understand. But it has to do with what you're paying attention to. So if you're only listening to your brain, and your brain is going to connect you with fear. If you're not conscious of what thoughts you're allowing in, or how delusional you're being, predicting a very difficult future, you're connecting with the strongest emotion in human experience, which is fear. And why is that? Because it can help us survive. If there is a tiger in front of me, I need to connect with fear, and the fear is going to tell my brain to send blood in my extremities, my hands and my legs, and start running. My digestive process is going to stop because I need all the energy that I have in my brain, and my brain will start saying, what is the best way out? But this is for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, until that survival mode ceases to need to exist. Once I'm in safety, now I need to reconnect. But in our life, in our modern life, we're connected with that survival mode, that fear all the time. So what I'm teaching people is how to shut this down, to make an appraisal, cerebral appraisal in the environment. Am I really in danger? Is anyone going to kill me right now? I'm worried about bills. This is not happening now, and at the moment I'm safe. And the moment you feel safe, you can shut down that fear in your brain, and then you can start connecting with your soul. But our soul and our bodies are always there. The fear takes over and it masks everything. So releasing the fear can allow me to reconnect with my soul, and our soul and our bodies always have the answers to everything we need to address. It is not a very easy thing to do, especially when you're a novice and you don't understand how to shut down your brain. But your soul is always talking to you, your body is always talking to you, and just touching your chest or touching your legs or wherever you feel the tension will give you a lot of information. And I ask people to touch that part of their body, close their eyes, take a few deep breaths in, go inwards, and have a literal dialogue with that part of their body. Do they see something? Is there something stuck? Do they feel something, the tension? Breathe into it and ask it, what do I need to do? Or what are you trying to tell me? Sometimes our bodies and our souls are trying to give us messages, and if we're connected with fear, we're not going to listen. And we're leaving the best part on the table again.
Shannon, do you have anything to add to that, especially finding yourself staying in the present moment and having all three of those in cohesion with one another?
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to say anything more. Like she said everything so beautifully, very aligned with me too. But I'll just give an example of myself, because mind, body, and spirit, Maria's right. It's all working together all the time, simultaneously, all feeding each other. But if you're constantly in your mind, you're not going to hear your spirit, your higher self, your team spirit, your counsel. And then if you're always up in the ethers, you're going to be like floating around, and okay, we're incarnated, we're in a body, we still need to pay bills and do that, but then that brings fears like, oh my god, how am I going to pay my rent tomorrow, and my phone bill, my car, la la. So with that said, it is just tuning back into your body. Where does it feel in your body? I was like, okay, do you have tightness in your chest right now? Sit down, put your hands on that part of your body. What are you trying to tell me? And then feeling safe within your body and just taking a second and tuning in will allow spirit to come in. Because spirit, your higher self, is a piece of your soul still up there feeding you information. And then you have your spirit guides, your angels, whatever you believe in, God. They're trying to talk to you all the time, but you can't if your mind is too busy. So you need to calm your mind down, calm your body down, do all the things, all the tools that'll open you up to spirit. So I was in meditation the other day, and I don't know much about Kuan Yin. I like have oracle cards and I pull her all the time, but I was like, oh, she came into a meditation. And then my friend today, she was like, oh, do you know the story of her? I'm like, no, not really. So she fled to the forest, and it was all about compassion for herself first. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been working on. That's how you heal a relate. So say you're trying to forgive. I'm trying to forgive somebody. I am in real time. But I'm like, okay, Kuan Yin, you're coming to me in meditation. You're here to help me with compassion. I have so much compassion for others, but for myself, I don't. And so she's here to help me have compassion for myself. Once you work on the stuff within, then you can forgive the person. You can't just forgive the person if you still hold it in your body. But by healing that trauma within you that they did to you, having compassion for yourself, then you're able to like, okay, I can work on forgiving you now. So I'm like, oh, now I know why she's here. I'm supposed to work on my own heart and healing that first. And so I wouldn't get those messages if I was constantly in my mind. If I'm disconnected and floating around, I wouldn't be able to like think those thoughts. So it's all connected, and you have to work with all of them together.
All right. So Joe asked a loaded question. Now I'm going to ask a loaded question. You could interpret this however you want. You don't think too deeply about it, but just curious your answer about today and with how things are usually done, the current approaches to trauma. Uh, what do you think is missing with the current approaches to trauma, and how do you think that blending clinical plus energetic and spiritual tools all together, how that creates a more complete or lasting transformation? Maria, we'll start with you.
So, trauma lives in our mind, it lives in our body, and it lives in our soul and spirit. And when we are approaching it through a cerebral approach, and psychotherapy is mainly cerebral, again, we only heal one part of us. When you release the trauma from the body as well, because the body does keep the score and the body does store pain, then you have two parts of you, two-thirds of you being more released. But you also need to go to the soul. And the soul is accessed through hypnotherapy or through meditations. What I will tell the world is that everything starts with a decision. A decision that you will heal and the decision that you can heal. The way we're portraying trauma, it's as if it's this very difficult to define entity that is challenging to grasp, challenging to understand, will take years. It can take years for a full recovery. But if you find the right practitioner, you will feel significantly better within weeks or months. But you need to be ready to let it go. And we need to also understand that trauma is a memory of something that happened in the past, but my body and my mind and my soul keep telling me that is happening now, which isn't true. So bringing the reality to the present moment will also release the fear, and then I can do the work. But it has to address both the physical, the body, the brain, and the soul. And when you address all of these entities, then you can actually experience release. And this is where you're creative. This is when you understand where you want to go next. This is where you know that you're loved no matter what is happening around you, because you love yourself. And we all have one person at least that loves us very, very dearly. But when you're traumatized, you don't even see that love.
That's for sure. Shannon, anything to add on that topic?
Can you repeat the question? Because I was lost in what she was saying.
Yeah, no worries.
I love Maria so
Just
much.
curious your thoughts, what's missing currently with the current approaches to trauma, and why is it important that clinical plus energetic and spiritual tools be blended together to really come out with that lasting transformation?
Yeah, I think now the Western medicine is starting to recognize Eastern medicine and also energy healing. I feel like we're at the best time for energy. And people are like, what is Reiki? What is somatic energy healing? I have a biofield, I have an aura, and it's not so like hippie, like chakra, and I'm gonna go hug a tree and like go do yoga. They're starting to research it now. And so with the work that I do, I work within the fields in your body and then out of your body, because they both are a mirror to each other. So what's going on here in your body is reflected here. And when there's dissonance in your energy field out here, it's going to reflect in the body. And so if there's not enough energy in your field, or if there's too much energy and there's not that balance, it it will reflect as physical pain, autoimmune, chronic, ailments. And so if you can catch it within the field, it won't reflect within the body. And so sometimes with trauma, like Maria said, we're reliving it in our brain and our body relives it. Even though it's not currently happening, your nervous system still says you're in danger. And so combining what I do with energy healing, it is energizing those fields that don't have enough energy or too much energy. And then when there's balance within those fields, you will be able to go to therapy and actually talk about what happened. Because I know with myself, when I was younger and the trauma that happened, I didn't want to talk to a therapist. I was like, I'm not talking about it. Like, what is that going to do? It's just going to have me relive it. But then now, if I work on it energetically as a child, then I would be more open to talk about it. So I feel like combining energy work with traditional therapy, it'll just help open up people to levels that they weren't able to access before. It wasn't their fault. They just didn't have energy in that field. So that's all. It's just, I feel like with those two combined, it'll be life-changing for people.
Well said, both of you. Now I'm curious on the business side of things. How difficult is it for you both to market your services and get new clients, and how much of a role does social media play in that? Shannon, we'll start with you.
Gosh, I was such on a social media kick and like doing videos and trying to do creative stuff and CapCut and la la la. And then I've kind of dropped off. It's been a lot, but I know it's important because when I meet people, I do a lot of networking events. And the first thing they don't ask for business cards anymore or even website. It's what's your Instagram?
Wow.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay, I'll connect on Instagram and then I'll DM you if we want to get together. And so I'm like, wow, it's so important. So it's a lot of work. And as a healer, I'm like, that's not my strength. I don't want to be doing social media, but I'm not at the point where I can just hire somebody. I'm still having to do stuff on my own because I'm a small business. So yeah, I think it's more now just creating a niche for myself instead of like all, because I had a list of everything I did on there. I'm like, I'm a sound healer, Reiki, pure bioenergy, somatic energy healing, death doula, meditation, breath, and I'm like, that's too much. Like, I just need to narrow it down to one thing.
Right.
So now I'm like, okay, somatic energy healing. I created the Soma reset method and I'm going to start doing corporate retreats. And so I'm like, just narrow it down and then just focus on more of a niche than like being so broad. So I'm still working on my social media, but unfortunately but we have chat now. Chat can help you. It helped me do my logo the other day. And I'm like, awesome. Love that chat.
Very nice. Maria, how about you? With any challenges with getting new clients?
I am very active on social media, especially on IG. I produce for IG. I find that it's a pure science and a science that's changing almost every day and every 2 days. So what was working last week is not working this week. But I embrace this challenge because it makes me actually narrow down my message and make it very short. It is very easy to convey my message when I have half an hour, 1 hour to talk to someone. But when you have 30 seconds or 10 lines in a B-roll, it does make you go into your inner truth, your science, the knowledge that you have, and bring it down to very, very few sentences. I love social media because it makes me more creative. It makes me understand more what my message is to the world. But I feel it is what people need. There is so much information. Not all of it is good, so you need to discern good judgment. And people can start healing, or people don't feel alone. And through social media, you can understand who's the practitioner that you want to work with. Is it a challenge? Yes, because it's changing all the time. And it's a challenge because I'm 52 years old, and when I was 20, it didn't even exist. We're just starting on emails. So it is an arena that I had to grow into, and an arena that I constantly educate myself on. Recently, I took a very long marketing course. You need to re-educate yourself. You need to stay current. Otherwise, you become a dinosaur. But I'm all in for creating a message that can touch people's lives and can change them in the right direction. Although it can be challenging at times, but I embrace it.
Speaking of dinosaurs, we'll talk about people in my life for a second.
Stegosaurus.
Very simply, you two, you want to help as many people as you possibly can, right? Makes sense. For some, there's this unfortunate truth to life that some people just don't want to be helped. Or you may encounter somebody who says, "Oh, I'm looking to help myself," and they may put in the initial effort, and then they kind of fall off and they don't really see the process through fully, right? So when it comes to both of what you do, what you two do in particular, is therapy for everyone? And again, I know that's kind of another loaded question as well, because again, there's the element of, do people want to be helped? So what do you two think about that? Is it for everyone? Is everyone, is there a natural inclination for everybody to be able to be helped? Maria, we'll start with you.
Therapy is for everyone, but not every therapist is for everyone. You need to find your therapist. You need to find the person that you vibe with, you feel good opening up to, a person who has the tools to support you. And actually, in California and New Mexico, a lot of therapists are becoming shamanic practitioners. The reason is that they understand that psychotherapy just by itself might not give them enough tools to access the intuitive, the subconscious mind, and the soul, and sometimes even the body. As a result, yes, it is for everyone, but you need to find the right person for you. It is not as easy to find your life partner. It is not as easy to find your best friend. You have to see it as a very similar process. You need to go through trial and error, give any therapist at least 3 sessions to build rapport with you, to show you who they are. And there are some therapists who feel uncomfortable the first time they meet you, meaning they're nervous. They want to give you the best and they're constantly thinking which method to use and what would work with you. It's something I'm not doing. I'm just going into my body. I'm allowing my intuitive mind to be awake, and I connect with the person, understanding what makes them feel good, what they find helpful, and what they don't. So I change all the time, and I'm very honest with my client. I might say, I feel that that route does not resonate with you. Your body energy shifted, you start contracting, and then you get the feedback, and you need to be able to change. But some therapists have a little bit of an ego, I want to say. Sorry, therapists out there. So my method is the right method, or this is the right approach. It can be. I'm not saying no. But if I'm giving you water when you just want to eat a very big steak because you're hungry, water is wonderful, but that's not what you need in the moment. So we need to be able to move around both as clients to transcend, transform, ask for what we want, but also as therapists. But yes, I love therapy. It's not the only modality that can get you to healing. And as they say, all roads lead to Rome, which means there are many different avenues to go there, but you need to keep trying. Don't give up. There is someone out there who can help you.
Very well said. Shannon, what about you?
Yeah, yes, we were taught this, that not everybody wants to be healed because sometimes their illness or what they're going through is their identity. And so without that, who would they be? They wouldn't get the attention, they wouldn't get, the family help and the support. And so we see it as practitioners. It's like they say they want help, but really they don't. And then it's the people who also I have seen people who they say they want the help, and then when you offer it, they don't really take it. And so our brains by default go to what's comfortable. So what's comfortable is being in victim mode and like, this happened to me and I'm going to have, everybody feel sorry for me. And it's this victimization that they're constantly in to get attention and like, woe is me. But then it's like, but if you just did this, you would help yourself. And then they won't take any advice, and they're kind of just like the Eeyore of the friend group, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're the energy suck. Um, but they don't want to get out of it because it's comfortable. That's all they know. Like, who would I be if I didn't have this story behind me, and if I, actually did let it go, and so I just recognize that as a practitioner, I can't help everybody, but hopefully at that time and space, this is what they need. And when it's time for them, then they'll come back. Or like Maria said, they'll find another practitioner that suits them better. But everybody's in their own journey at a certain time and place, and you just have to honor that. And so, yeah, sometimes they're just not ready, or they don't want to, because who would I be without this illness? So, yeah.
So I also wanted to ask you too, in particular, was there ever a client that was frustrating to work with? Client that just it never worked out, right? And was there any difficulty releasing the energy and the fact that that particular person, you could not help that person? So Shannon, we'll start with you.
Wasn't really frustrating, but I really don't like for people to be dependent on me. It makes me feel horrible and like I'm not doing a good job, but they're always coming back and relying on me to do energy healing to make them feel better. So I try to give tools. So like, okay, when you're not on my table, do this and this and this, and these are tools, and pick whatever resonates for you. But then when I'm kind of like become a band-aid. Well, I'm just going to go to Shannon. I'm just going to go to Shannon. And I'm like, gosh, it's frustrating for me, because I view everybody as my child. Like, I want you to grow. I want you to flourish. I want to see the growth, and you not have to come back always. Like, come back for tune-ups, but I want you to do this on your own. And so I just get, I guess, a little bit frustrated and just a little bit sad that they're not doing the work beyond my table to withstand what we're doing. It's they're getting a state change on the table, and they feel so good, and they just want to come back. So that would be the frustrating part, but I can't control what they do off my table. So I have to also let it go. But nobody's ever like made me mad or pissed me off. It's just everybody's just beautiful and in their own journey. But yeah.
Like the kid who doesn't do the teacher's homework and his
Yeah.
grade or her grade kind of falls off, and it's like, oh, well, you didn't do the work, so that's why you're not
Right.
getting it nearly as good of a grade. No,
Oh,
it's an honest
totally.
answer. Maria,
Yeah.
what about you?
I wouldn't say it's frustrating. However, I have had clients who have not moved as much as I wanted. And there are usually two causes for that. One is they have a strong narcissistic nature. So it is very difficult for them to believe that there is something that they need to change. They constantly believe that the environment around them does not get them, which might be true, and that they need to change. So when I'm expecting that I'm doing work with a therapist, but the other person's going to change without me changing, this is irrationally logical. It will never work. And the other group of people that don't change are the people who have made their trauma, their mental illness, that one incident, their personal flag. It defines them. It's the emblem of who they are. And that means that they have to change their identity. They have to be okay with letting go of the identity they have created, which is laced with pain, laced with discomfort, and embrace something else and create another identity. It's like you're an acrobat and you are swinging and you have to let go of one trapeze to go to the other one. There is a moment where your hand goes there, but then as the other one is coming forward, you are in the air. And in life, we don't always feel we have the net to save our lives. So I am just holding my clients and I'm explaining that this is part of life, but I can guarantee that you're going to be safe. Even if you fall, there is a safety net in life. And sometimes the fall allows us to break and break free from the identity that we used to have. And then you can recreate yourself, which will take you to a much better place where you truly need to be and go.
Yeah, I think that comes back to the previous point of trust versus trustworthiness. If you're not going to trust in the process evidently won't ultimately be for you. So, last question from me, and then we'll start to wrap this up. Both of you have been excellent so far. Very insightful, very, very important stuff moving forward for both Nick and I, because Nick and I have gone through some personal things in our lives, especially recently within the last couple of years. So, sometimes these methods, when people, share them, sometimes it's in one ear and out the other ear. So hopefully, both of us could absorb what you guys, have shared with us, from this point on. But I study astrology, right? And astrology and astronomy, they both start with the same letters. So for me personally, I always look at it as a science. I look at it as the study of energy patterns, energy cycles, the ebbs and flows in life, right? You will have good days, you will have bad days. So I'm curious to know, uh, for you guys, do you think zodiac signs and ultimately the bigger picture of what astrology is out there for ultimately matters? So you can personally answer this question. We'll start with you, Maria.
I believe in astrology, and I do consult an astrologist once a year around my birthday. I believe that it sets the climate, the environment for you. And then the challenge that you're going to have in your life are the challenges that are going to make you who you are. There is no one's life is created out of roses. It's pink and it feels like fluffy candy cotton clouds. The challenges are there to make us, to push us out of our comfort zone because life knows there's something better for us. But unfortunately, we don't come to this life with all the tools that we'd like to have. We acquire them as we're resolving those challenges. What is very important is to look at any challenge in this way. Embrace it, it is happening, and see it as the best school, the best educational curriculum that will take you where you want to go. So when something is challenging, what I ask the universe is to show me the way forward. And I'm saying, show me the lesson as soon as possible and show me the way to go through it in a painless manner, but receiving those golden nuggets of wisdom at the end of it. And every time I go through a challenging phase in my life, I come out on the other side a lot wiser with a life that is a lot more in congruence with who I am. And I'm significantly more joyful because I have overcome something. So whatever you can see in an astrological map, all those difficulties, they're there to help you find yourself. They're there to help you become the powerful person that you are, and you might not even know you are.
There are a lot of difficulties here because we're currently in Gemini season. Shannon, do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Oh, definitely. And I love astrology. I studied it for a little bit, but I'm like, okay, this is a lifelong study. So I think I'll just consult people and just kind of look at it here and there, like every single day. So yeah, I feel like it's a loose blueprint and you can change it though. That's the thing. It's like you're given this blueprint and it's like a map, but then you can change things about it. You can change like how you respond to Mercury in retrograde coming up at the end of the month. Okay, it's going to be frustrating and stuff is, travel and communication and podcasts will freeze. But it's like, what do you do with that energy? Do you just hunker down and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be in fear mode and it's coming? No, you look over the contract 3 times, you cross your T's and dot your I's. And we are in Gemini season and I'm Gemini rising. I'm Virgo sun and Sag moon. And so I'm like, wow, a lot of in your head thinking, but then I'm
That's a
supposed to,
lot of mutable energy, a
I know.
lot of malleable kind of energy.
Yeah. And I need to get the heck out of my mind, and that's where I live, and back into my body and my heart. So that's like the juxtaposition with my chart. But yeah, I just know like, okay, don't view it as like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen to me. Just use it as a tool and an energy going, okay, this is coming in my chart and what do I do with it? And use it as a tool. But just because, Uranus is coming doesn't mean your whole life is going to be uprooted. I mean, it could be in a different part of your chart. So just educate yourself on it and just, yeah, use it as a tool. And I love it. I really, truly believe in it. Yeah.
All right, there you go. They do call him Joey Birth Charts for a reason. He always does the birth charts. So last
I want to
question
know your guys'
here.
zodiac signs though. I'm Virgo.
I'm a
What are you?
He's a Gemini. His
Ah,
his birthday just passed.
happy birthday, Nicholas.
That's right.
Thank you.
Maria, what about you? What's your sun sign?
I'm an Aries, but I
An
have
Aries.
a Cancer rising. Because
Okay.
when I was young, it was so difficult because an Aries wants to just do everything, is a pioneer, wants to just plow her way through it. But then Cancer goes, oh, but I love this person and I feel for that person. But now I've learned how to manage both and how to balance them.
I could definitely see the Cancer rising.
Yep.
Hmm.
The moon eyes, that's a giveaway. Yep.
Joe, tell them your zodiac sign.
I am a Cancer and I am a Scorpio rising.
Oh,
Yes.
What a
wow.
combination.
And the thing is, my birthday is July 4th. Nick's birthday just
Oh,
passed, was May 25th. This year it happened to fall on Memorial Day and the
That's what it
same
was
year,
when I born. It was
yeah,
Memorial
the
Day
same
too.
year that we were born. So we were both born on patriotic holidays. So there's
yeah.
a little bit of a patriotic flair to the podcast.
Wow. Special babies in the house.
And destined to be together.
That's right.
Yeah.
Guess
We're like
so.
oil and vinegar. We're like salt and pepper, you know?
Yes,
That's the best combo. You both need each other.
very true. Very true. Okay, so ladies, in your lives or in your careers, what has been your I'm right moment? So what I mean by that, it's a time or place where you wanted to pursue something, you asked somebody for advice, that person said, "Hey, sounds like a bad idea. I wouldn't do it. Don't pursue it. It's not going to work out for you." And you said, "You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway." And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this, and I can tell you, I told you so. Start with you, Maria.
I hate the phrase "I told you so" because it makes everyone feel so small and it disconnects people. It puts you at a higher level because I knew better than you, and now I'm telling you, so I'm expecting that you will feel very small. But I think my life is full of that. I knew I wanted to become a therapist. I was like, and then I did, and it was a blessing to know from so early on. I cannot imagine myself doing anything else other than that. Then the fact that I want to go to the UK and study, and my parents were thinking, no, stay in Athens, Greece. We have wonderful universities, but I knew I had to be there. I married very young and married at 24. Everyone was against it. Although I ended up getting divorced and was a difficult marriage, but it was that experience in my life that gave me my voice. I had to fight literally for my life and my 4-year-old, and that helped me become the person I'm today. Then leaving for Singapore in 2010 from Europe, I cannot tell you how many people would drive for 30 miles to come to say goodbye, but in reality, they wanted to tell me to not go because it was scaring them. If I was willing at 36 to live a very comfortable life in Athens and take a 10-year-old and just travel all the way, half the globe, and start a new life in a place that I did not know so well, what was that saying about them? Why were they keeping in a life that felt comfortable but not fulfilling? And again, coming to the US all by myself because I just decided I wanted to live in California and create something completely different here. A lot of resistance and a lot of people were saying, don't do it. It's not the right time to do it. So my life is full of them. It is not a whim. I'm not changing life on a whim. And it's not that I'm not taking people's consideration and people's approach and their opinion. But I always listen to that inner compass, that inner voice that has never put me in trouble. And even what it is asking me to do, even if it's difficult and challenging, it's there to make me stronger and help me in the process of becoming the person I will be at the end of my life.
That's why you're right. And Shannon, how about you?
I told you so. This is where I say that.
That's right.
Um, the first story that comes to mind is an ex-boyfriend who I wanted to get a new car because I lived in Colorado for 21 years and my little Honda Accord wasn't making it because I was in real estate at the time. It wouldn't make it up the driveways to like show property. It would slip. So I'm like, okay, I need an all-wheel drive car. So I did my research and I was looking into getting an Audi. And the Audi dealer is like, have you ever like looked into Mazdas? And I'm like, no, like Mazda, what? And he was like, they're number two on consumer reports. Like, look into it. Lexus is always number one. Mazda's number two. I'm like, oh my god. And then as soon as I heard Mazda, all of a sudden that's all you see on the road. You're like, oh my god, Mazda, Mazda, Mazda. And so I was like, I'm gonna go test drive a Mazda because they last forever, good resale value. I'm just thinking like practical. I don't care really about like what car it is. I just need to get up in the mountains in the snow and be safe. And I had two boys that were younger at the time. And he was just so like, ew, Mazda, like, why don't you get this car or that car? I'm like, I already did my research. And so I got it and he totally pouted. Like he didn't like that I got that car. And I still have that car till today. I bought it out of its lease. It's lasted forever. It made it from Colorado to California. Like I've driven around. I still to this day grab the steering wheel, and it's white. It's a little CX-5, little sporty SUV. And I call her Bunny because she looks like a little bunny. I'm like, Bunny, I love you. You were the best decision. And see, if I didn't like listen to my intuition, I listened to whatever his name is. I'm not going to say his name. I would have probably gotten a different car and it would have broke down. Like you've been with me through thick and thin, like everything. So I still talk to her till this day. I'm like, you were the best decision of my life. So it went to show me it was a big decision for me back then, but it just showed me like, okay, everybody's coming through their lens of their life and their trauma, their conditioning, their upbringing. He wanted, like, it was very much about brands and like what you wore and like what you drove. For me, I just needed something practical. And I'm so glad I listened to myself and not him and what he wanted, because till this day, she's still been like the best decision I've made with any purchase. So just always remember how it feels within, like, because other people are coming from their, projections and their story in their life, which is completely different from yours. So yeah, listening to the inner compass, I still to this day think my car. So it's a fun little story.
Well, you know what I always say, Nick, if it gets you from point A to point B, right? I think that's the first time we've ever asked a I'm right moment and somebody answered about spiting an ex-boyfriend with a really good car purchase, right?
Listen, it was
It feels so
money
good.
well spent putting the miles in.
Absolutely. Listen, it's an
Totally.
investment. And it was a damn good
I have
investment.
a CX-5 as well, so
There you go.
Yeah, I love my car. She's
That was the elephant in the room. I was waiting for that. Well, Maria and Shannon, we both thank you for your time. We really appreciated it. The last couple of episodes here on the docket that Nick and I have recorded, usually we'll have one guest and it's a three-person dynamic. Today, we had the both of you on, and there's certainly some overlap with what you two do. Little differences between the both of you, but we were very happy to bring you guys together for an amazing episode. Again, we hope our viewers and listeners will be able to take some of the stuff that you both shared with us. Moving on and into the future, what we do here is we always give our guests the last word. So if there's anything else that you two would like to share or promote, by all means, go ahead. And on top of that, where can we find you on social media? So Shannon, we'll start with you.
So thank you again for having me on, and it's been so much fun with Maria. I was on her podcast and we connected and we are just like, oh my gosh, we're going to be friends. So it was so fun doing the podcast with you too. I guess the last thing I want to end with is for people to just connect back within your body. Just realize like the sensations that you feel in your body, it's trying to tell you something. So instead of overriding it and doing the thing, like going for a run or like getting on social media and numbing, sit with whatever sensations coming up. And that is going to work wonders with connecting back in your body and having it release that liberating that energy that's stuck in your body. Just doing stuff like that over and over will really help change your life. You can find me on social media. I am the graceful_healer, and my website is thegracefulhealer.com. And you can DM me with questions, private sessions, speaking engagements, like all of it. So I'd love to connect.
Thank you, Shannon. And now on to you, Maria.
It has been wonderful being here. I've loved the challenging questions. The more loaded your questions were, the more I was in my most creative energy. I would tell people the following. Human life is designed to be stressful, but it's not designed to be stressful because life is punishing you. It's designed to be stressful because we don't change in times where we're comfortable and we're just cruising. Life will give you difficulties and obstacles because it wants you to get stronger, to overcome them, to learn through this process so that you're going to be happier and you're going to reach your full potential in this life, but also your soul's purpose. How can we reframe the challenges? Just by knowing that we're loved, so loved that someone is nudging us to become bigger and greater. I don't know, are you both parents? I know that Nicholas is a father, but we
I
all,
am not.
you're
That's why we're salt and pepper and oil and vinegar. We work so well together. I am the single one.
You're the single one.
I am the
But
single one.
everyone who has been a child and they remember and who's raising children, they will know that when our kids are trying to sit or they're trying to walk, it is very difficult. So we don't tell them, don't do it. It is so challenging. Just stay on your back forever. Never walk. We just help them. We support them. We hold their hand and we tell them that they're doing a very good job. We will empower them. We'll congratulate them. We will praise them when they get it right. It's the same for life. It is not punishing you. It's just telling you, I know there is more for you, but you need to challenge yourself and you might go a little of painful experience. I'm helping people overcome heartbreak, and heartbreak can come from a divorce or a relationship, losing your job, but also life is a series of heartbreaks. We learn how to heal, we learn how to repair, and we go forward. I am doing webinars. There is a free webinar coming up, and if you go to my webpage, that is www.mariamicha.com, or to my Instagram, which is at official Maria Micha, you will see the next free webinar that is in 20 days, I believe. And I also do 3-hour webinars, 3-day webinars, and 3-month webinars for people who want some healing, more healing, greater healing, and total healing. It is up to you.
Very nice. All right, Maria and Shannon, thank you for your time. And that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our special guests, Shannon and Maria, for my co-host Joe, I'm Nick, and this has been You Know I'm Right.